Are you a business owner looking for real advice and input? You're in the right place. From concept to launch to growth, funding, and beyond. Welcome to Startup Hustle with your hosts. One once sold a business for $150 million. The other, the author of $1 Million Bedroom. Here are your hosts of Startup Hustle, Matt DeCoursey and Matt Watson.
And we're back. Another episode of Startup Hustle. Matt DeCoursey here with Keith Custer, who'll be sitting in for Matt Watson today. Keith, what's up?
Oh, just living the dream.
You know what? I'm going to join you in that. And as we get started and on our journey through another episode of Startup Hustle, which is brought to you by Fullscale.io, which is my company, and Matt Watson's as well. We help people build development teams quickly and affordably. So your company does something different. Keith, you are the founder and CEO of the Ripple.net. Is this true?
That is correct. We might shrinking that down a bit, but I had a little ego boost that day I was writing it. But
yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, you are the founder and CEO, right?
It's true.
You're allowed to have, as a startup founder, you are allowed to have as many titles as you would like to. We've had people in here that are the founder, CEO, janitor, and the guy. So yeah, so our subject today is donation technology, which is what you guys do at the Ripple.net, right?
That's correct.
So it's a pretty broad term. So we're gonna go ahead and narrow it down a little bit. For those of you listening, you know I like it when you're interactive. So get out your phone, open up a browser, go to the Ripple.net, or open up the gram and check out at Just Ripple It. While you're there, you can also check out the Startup Hustle YouTube channel, and you can find us on the gram at Startup Hustle Podcast. Let's talk about donation technology, man. What made you get all of this started, and what do you guys do?
Well, the origin just came from wanting to help people out. I got about 13 years in the car business and actually really enjoyed what I did. I slept great at night. I got to help people reestablish credit, maintain their livelihood, and enjoyed the job. I trained the leadership, but as we all know, business can be finicky, and the owners that I worked for ended up selling off to another outfit, and they came in a little more corporate-minded, wanting to make more money than good relationships, and we kind of just didn't see eye to eye on the way that people were starting to be treated. So I submitted my resignation, but in the process, just made a prayer. I just wanted to be used to be able to help people out, and that was really the only prerequisite that I had in prayer was that I just want to make a difference. I want people's lives to be better because I was around them. So as that kind of passed, an idea came that when I was looking out in my garage and bad weather was coming, I realized, well, crap, I can't even park in here. I'm going to have to get rid of some of this stuff. I'd done well enough to where I didn't need the money for it. I just wanted it gone, but I felt too guilty to throw it away. So a light bulb went off that said, there's people that would pay $15-20 for this old weight bench or kid's bed and things like that. It would be a phenomenal deal. It'd do me a favor by getting rid of it. But to take it a step further, what if I appropriated that money for a nonprofit and said, hey, you make a $50 donation to this church or to some other nonprofit locally, we could kind of create a ripple effect. That's where the name came from, is just taking one act of kindness and really trying to benefit as many people as possible from that act. So in a nutshell, that's where it came from, is just wanting to be able to empower people to help out more than just one person in their actions.
All right, so I commend you, and I'm sure our listeners do as well. I'll tell you what, I'm all for anything that gets rid of some stuff from my house. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old and a wife that loves to hang on to stuff. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'll tell you what, man, the struggle is real. And with that, I've been in that seat where you also look at stuff and you're like, man, I feel guilty, and you have the ability to go, dump all that stuff off at the door at Goodwill. But Goodwill, I love you, but that's actually a for-profit company, isn't it?
Well, they're not.
They're in that ballpark.
They're 501c3, but there's definitely people making
there's
very
a little
healthy
there's a
checks.
little leakage on the way to the actual end user there. So now with that, I think most people would love to be able to say, hey, I could raise some money for whatever cause or charity that they want. So if I want to use the ripple.net, can I do that? Can I say, okay, here's all the crap that I need to get rid of, and can I determine where that goes, or do you have preset charities for that?
Yeah, so I definitely have a responsibility to the public to make sure I'm vetting these charities, make sure no one's posing as a nonprofit and the money's actually going into their check. And we know the world we live in, there's some opportunistic people who'd be happy to get a free check. So the vetting process, I'm just going to run the EIN number of the nonprofit through the IRS, make sure that they do have 501c3 certification, do a quick interview with them, check out their facilities, check out their goals, make sure that there's nothing controversial in the news, making sure they're not picketing soldiers' funerals and, having some hateful speech, in their efforts. But as long as they can pass that, then there's an authority on nonprofits called GuideStar, which will kind of check to see if they're operating at deficits or surpluses, and basically they kind of grade the charities. But beyond that, I'll put them on my list of participating charities. They authorize me to write a tax receipt on their behalf. So as soon as you buy something on my site, in real time, the seller gets a tax receipt in the nonprofit's name. The buyer gets a receipt from PayPal because everything's checked out electronically. This is a cashless site. It's safer. If you show up to buy something for $1,000, you're not expected to have $1,000 in cash in your pocket. So, in theory, you should have a lot less risk of people getting robbed. And
maybe a little buyer protection there with PayPal.
Absolutely. But beyond that, it's absolutely free for the charity to use. We just want to make sure that they are out there helping people and doing what they're saying they're doing, and they can participate on the side as a participating charity and bring their donor base on board and add to the marketplace.
So are you a charity?
I am for profit. The way that the fruit shakes off is, let's say you sell $100 or sell a bicycle on my site for $100 donation to your local church or to a Warriors advocacy nonprofit. I would keep 3%. PayPal keeps almost 3%, which we can negotiate down later as we run a certain amount of money. But 94% of that sticker price makes it to the charity. So on a $100 price, $94 would make it to the charity. Still a very large amount of each sticker price is making it to the nonprofit.
It's also a really thin margin.
It is.
To try to operate off of. I mean, 3 points is thin. That's razor thin. I mean, that's almost like credit card processing rates, because you can see PayPal's drawing the same rate.
There's transactions when PayPal will actually make more than me.
Sure.
Absolutely, because they actually have 2
Well, when you say make more than I'm imagining you got to push some volume through this just to even pay the bills at this point. So you're not technically making money at that point, even though you might not be a not-for-profit. Mm-hmm. You can still be well, I think so many of our guests are, I might run a not-for-profit. I have a couple businesses that don't really turn a tidy profit. Right. Software companies are kind of known for that, and that's, and this podcast, this is not technically a 501c. We could be classified as a for-profit, non-profiting entity.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky, slippery slope. Okay, so this is something that we haven't, donation technology. I mean, we always like to pick a conversation to talk about this. Now, are there other people or things that do the same thing as you?
So there's
who are your competitors?
Yeah, so I would just consider them to be, real trailblazers in the industry. I don't see them as direct competition because really they're just enlightening people on alternative ways to give. Traditionally, if you didn't have time, blood, or money, there wasn't much that you could offer to a nonprofit. But, the conglomerate medias like Facebook, they're doing some really cool things on the birthday donations.
I see.
And, a lot of retailers.
But that's not a direct competitor. I mean, technically, if you're going to do it like that, the Catholic Church passing the plate around on Sunday is competition, but that's not the same thing as what you do.
Exactly. So the closest thing that I can find to it is there's some really cool. There's a place called Omaze that is selling experiences that basically via like raffle tickets.
I see.
And
or like concert tickets or okay, sure.
Yeah, tours of venues and meet and greets with some really popular people, and they've done great. I've really sat back and watched what they're doing, but as far as having an online marketplace where 94% of the proceeds are going to charity and just empowering the donor bases that want to get involved but maybe don't have a ton of money in their account, I haven't found anybody doing it. This is a one of one. This was not a replication of any other ideas that I had seen out there. We do have some features that kind of build off of what some other people are doing. We've got a feature similar to Groupon,
sure,
where we allow for small businesses to get into the mix. We allow for if a roofer wants to put a coupon out that says you make a $100 donation to the charity that they pick, they'll take $500 off of the roofing package.
That's a good idea too.
So now the buyer gets a great deal on a roofing package. They're happy. The small business gets free exposure and gets known as a roofer that actually cares about the community that they're serving. And they're not doing free service. It's just discounted. So they're guaranteed business when that gets bought. And then obviously the money goes to the charity, and the charity gets exposure, which charities don't have deep marketing budgets. So they need any additional exposure that they can get. So it ripples out.
Yeah, and they're scattered. Like there's a million causes that need your donation, and like you said, they don't. It's a bandwidth thing and it's a resource thing. So you have charities, the Goodwills of the world, and and Salvation Army and these things that are massive and widespread. But I mean, here's the reality, and the reason I don't give money to those things, I do my wife and I make a charitable donation every year somewhere. But we try to make it as direct and possible. And over the last several years, what we've done is we go to Children's Mercy Hospital here in town, where my sister works. We go in the children's ER and like where they actually spend time. If they're there for more than a night, they have a huge shortage of things like clothes. Because they get there for some emergency and they don't have what they need, and sometimes they run into that. So we go to Walmart and buy like $1,000 worth of like gloves, hats, shirts, like socks, and these like super utilitarian things, and they love it. And it's a no leak kind of donation, because we're not and the reason I don't give money to the things like Goodwill and Salvation Army is because you mentioned they're kind of bloated and you're kind of paying some other people's salaries, and I appreciate everything they do, but if you get down to and really get down to the nitty gritty, you'll find that really only in some of those cases only 10 to 20% of that money actually makes it to the people that you want to make it to, and the rest of it's buying TV ads and offices and retail space and paying people salaries and paying for trucks that come around and pick stuff up. And I mean, I'm sure that 10 to 20% is still a massive amount that makes it through, but there are some more, there's a lot more clever way to get your money to the end user.
You hit it right on the head.
Yep.
There's so much overhead with those operations, and no matter which side of which political party you affiliate with, or which God you pray to, if any God, there's going to be causes out there that you care about. And the thing with the Goodwills is, they're going to go out and do good stuff with that money. But you may have a closer affinity to a veterans or a family advocacy or pets or environmental, and you've got resources that you've been tripping over. That you are just rearranging in your house constantly. And you can go and pass on to somebody else. But on another token, who doesn't want a good deal? Everybody, regardless of your financial situation, everybody likes to save money. You may have one tree to chop down in your backyard. You don't want to pay $300 for a chainsaw. You may want to get online and find one for $40-50. You get a good deal. Charity gets money. Somebody cleans out their garage, and we're all kind of helping each other out.
If you have a deal on tree removal, I'd like to know about it, because I have a tree I need to get rid of. So there you go. I would take someone up on that. Okay, so let's get back to the startup nature of this and all of it. So we're here in Kansas City right now. Now we've had listeners in 192 countries, which is crazy. For those of you listening, thank you. Like, who are you guys? It's really amazing. Last night I had the privilege of presenting to over 200 people here in Kansas City at the Pure Pitch Rally, and we gave away $60,000 worth of credits at Full Scale to try to help move our own startup community forward. But for those of you listening, if you're out somewhere, if you're not in the United States, Kansas City is right in the middle of the United States. We love our hometown. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. But you don't sound like you're from here.
Born and raised.
Are you?
KCK.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's surprising. I was going to guess maybe a little more south, but so and that's all good. So, are most of how long has this been around?
5 months.
Okay.
So launched in.
So we need some people listening to get on the ripple.net and put a few things up.
Go make your ripple. The thing is, we've got 10 participating charities, but I need representation for every type of nonprofit, environmental, pet advocacy, everything that is out there in the nonprofit sector. This site can be used as a tool for.
Yeah, I think you need a little heat from people talking about it on social media too.
That's it.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a tool to help people who want to help out other people.
Yeah.
So if you got that in your heart, you got to check this
Making
site
a
out.
post about stuff like the ripple.net is, by my definition, a donation as well.
It is.
Because you kind of spread the word, and if you think about it, on different things too. Think about where you and I mean, really, and not to discourage you from posting about the ripple.net, but posting about any cause you believe in that's charitable is in a way a form of donation. And some of us have a more extensive network than we would believe. I mean, I look at my LinkedIn page, I got 21,000 connections there, and that's a pretty broad
Huge
number of people that can see stuff. So, get out there and say something about it. But if you're listening and you've got kids, you've probably got a whole bunch of crap you don't need. That's a good place to start. And then there's some other stuff too. Like, I mean, what are some of the hot and popular items?
So clothing's big. People change styles.
We should have done a
sizes.
Family Feud here, by the way. I
Yeah.
should have but I'll glad. Yeah, that would have been a good spot for that.
Yeah.
So clothes.
Yeah, things that people grow out of. Those are really popular. Some of the older technology things. I've been given some tube TVs. From 2002. Not necessarily looking for those. People are definitely willing to get rid of them because you can't just throw those away. You're not supposed to just throw them away.
Yeah.
But as far as the 5 months that we've been in business, we are just really hurting to get people to put a variety of content on there. We need some more furniture. We need some more power tools and anything that you can, from video games to dog kennels, anything that you would sell on an online marketplace, we have a category for. But right now, some of the shelves are just sitting empty. It sounds cliche, but the whole if we knew better, we'd do better approach, it's the truth. I need people to realize that this is going to be a great way to get rid of your stuff, but also not only a great way to give, but a good way to receive.
Listeners, I'll give you a couple hints. For those of you that just bought the new iPhone 11, you might have another phone that, like, I got the iPhone 10X or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the thing. That's worth probably $300, $400 just, or I don't know, a couple $100 to someone. That's a pretty significant donation. Other things too, like old tablets, and no charity wants your tube TV. No one wants your rear projection big screen that you were going to throw away. No one wants your piano from 1930 that weighs 200 or 2,000 pounds. Like, those aren't the things. But on the flip side, musical instruments are good. And I've been involved in the past. I was on and this shut down after about 5 years due to lack of our own inability to manage it. But I was on the board of a charity called Keys for Kids. And when I used to work in the music industry, I went around to music. I was at music stores a lot, and I'd round up extra musical instruments, and we donated them. At one point, we outfitted a whole entire 3 different schools in New Orleans after the floods that happened down there when the levees broke. And, musical instruments are expensive, and a lot of people have them, and you quit playing them. So if you're not gonna play that guitar, donate it. I had this rule with my own musical equipment where if I haven't played it in a year, then I didn't need it, and I probably didn't want it. So I've donated a lot of stuff in that regard. So, just different things like that.
Appliances.
Sure.
We're always seeing new refrigerators, washers and dryers. You want a front loader so you don't have to dig down into the top loader. There are families out there. There's people coming out of divorces or incarceration or addiction, and they're trying to reestablish themselves. They would be so happy to be able to get a washer and dryer set to send their kids to school and clean sets of clothes. That is the sort of blessings that some of these people are looking for. Not name brands. They just don't want dirt stains on their kids' clothes. But they can't afford to buy a new set, so they need one for $100. If you happen to be upgrading something this weekend, or there's a tax-free weekend, we all know that there's going to be some sales here coming up around Black Friday. If you're thinking about upgrading those things, think about the ripple.net to put those things on the site. You won't even have to break your back hauling it out. People will be happy to haul it out of your house for you, and we can bless a charity in the process.
Yeah, so I used to own part of a business that delivered millions of dollars of fitness equipment. And, man, you've got that shit sitting in your basement, and if you don't use it, donate it because it's not getting any newer sitting there, but someone will probably use it. A lot of people buy home exercise stuff, and then it just becomes, it's in the way.
Yeah. And, hey, we're at the end of the year. People are going to start, calculating how much, taxable donations have they made this year. Well, this way you can actually make a taxable donation that you don't actually have to dig into your account for.
Yep.
So you can make $1,000 worth of contribution and still have the exact same amount in your account as you did before that donation. There's really no other format that I can see where you can get credit for making $1,000 donation and there's no impact on your bank account.
Now, you mentioned that you guys do services too. So, man, what a great way. Like, if you're a service provider, wherever you're at, I mean, think about this. What's the lifetime value of a client or a customer or a user? And are you really 100% booked? Because would you rather give $100 off on a $500 order, donate $100 to charity, do some good, and start creating some goodwill around the community, meaning do a good job when you show up, and that next person, maybe they'll tell someone else. I mean, services are about the easiest thing you can donate. So, I mean, I know a lot of people listening around here, especially in Kansas City, are service providers. Throw something up, you might actually get a client out of it. And
you're not giving the service away, you're just doing it as a discount. And a lot of us know, here's the deal. Millennials are finally the largest working class in America. Millennials are not the brand whores that they used to be. They are researching the companies that they give their business to. And one of the biggest selling points for a millennial is, what is that company doing to give back to a cause? And specifically, what cause are they giving back to? Shoppers are researching this, and if your company's not giving back to a cause, first off, why? And secondly, how can you do it as easily and efficiently as possible? Well, the ripple.net is one way that you can do it. Just promote your business on there and outline the foundation that you want the money to go to, and problem solved. Now you're a company that cares about the community that it serves, and hey, you're going to be getting some business in the process.
Well, that was like last night, like I mentioned, Matt Watson and I, we gave away $60,000 in services to 8 area startups. And, that was through a pitch competition. It's the second year we've done that. We've given away $130,000 over the last 12 months to that. And that's an example of like how you can support your local community a little bit, because those businesses can and will potentially create more employment and do a whole lot of different things. For that, if you go back and want to listen in the feed, there's one that says we give away $50K. Well, we give away $60K. But that's the kind of stuff that, I mean, that $60K is less than 1% of our annual revenue.
Yeah.
And by the way, all of those companies could potentially become our clients after using that credit. Now, that's not our expectation, but it could happen. So, I mean, that could very easily become a positive transaction.
There's no doubt in my mind you did it for the right reason. But I think you'd also agree that in order for us to gain, we got to sacrifice a little bit, and by making those sacrifices, people will reciprocate it, and
Sure.
then they will sacrifice for you. And you know, like you said, from that kindness that you just demonstrated just last night, $60,000 worth of credit is incredible. It's going to come full circle because people are going to want to work with somebody that actually cares enough to put themselves second or third and put others first. It's so much easier to live in a world where people are going to be looking out for each other instead of us all looking out for ourselves. It comes back tenfold.
The reason we do that is both Matt and I, you know, we've been in that seat a bunch of times, just trying to get started.
Oh, hell yeah.
And let's talk about that for a second. So you said you had a history in the car business, and now you're building a technology platform. How challenging has that been for you?
I am a kindergartner when it comes to tech savvy.
It happens. You won't be.
Yeah. No. Here's the thing: is if you're not about learning, you know, then you're going to get passed up. If you're not about growing, then you know you're going to shrink. So I just took a leap of faith. You know, sometimes we just wait for the right time, and then it never comes. Well, I wasn't going to wait. I said, you know what, I'll figure it out. You know, the survivor mentality and really the putting yourself second approach is what drove me to this. I realized that the cause was much more important than my comfortability of the industry. That'll all come. But if we know that people need something, why would you ever wait? You know, why would you say that it's just not the right time? If somebody's drowning, you can't say, well, you know, I can't get my shoes wet. I can't, you know, it's not a good time for me to go save somebody. It just doesn't work like that. You have to go. And the world needs something like this. We're constantly waiting for the government to come bail us out on prison reform or opioid epidemics and all these things. The government's not a specialist on treating these things. There are special foundations specifically designed to address these situations, but they need the money to do it. They're spending so much time and effort on their fundraising and their exposure that they are limited to maybe a third of their effort to being actually appropriated to the outreach. So if we can help them raise the money, they can turn around and help us fix our problems. You know, get the stuff out of the dump, help the guys get off of the, you know, the sauce and start contributing back to their families and raising their kids the way they're supposed to, and giving, you know, working single parents an outlet for their kids to have a healthy environment after school so that they're not selling drugs, committing crimes, and raising each other. We need our parents to be able to have the support system so that they can raise a healthy community, and it ripples out. It teaches other people how to be.
So going back to the, you know, you mentioned feeling like a kindergartner. I say, you know, I sometimes draw some heat from people when some people I know say I overly simplify things, but in the end, everything is down to, you know, apparently everything in this universe might be made out of zeros and ones, but the whole thing is like there is a really simple solution. And I say, you know, all of us were inexperienced until we weren't. And then you mentioned this isn't the right time. Well, you know, in my book, Balance Me, I say this pretty emphatically. The right time never comes. There's no such thing as the right time. Saying the right time is not upon you as an excuse for your inactivity. You know, there's never a right time to buy a house, to change a job, to do this, to do that. It's just not really a real thing. That's an excuse. So, you know, that Nike effect, just do it, is important. And, you know, when it comes to, you know, you mentioned, here I've been selling cars for 13 years and now I'm going to open a tech platform. Dude, I did the same thing at one point, you know, and this was 10 years ago. And so now I've become quite experienced, but I learned it all on Google, dude, and YouTube, and reading a few books here and there, and talking to a lot of people that sometimes I nagged the shit out of to be like, hey, you know, I'll come to you. Make it easy to go. If you want to ask someone for knowledge, and by the way, I hate this approach. I hate can I buy you coffee? I hate that, because I'm not interested in leaving my office, going out of my way, coming and finding you at Starbucks, parking, all this, driving back, and by the time that occurs, that 20-minute meeting's like a 2-hour thing. So if you want to learn from people and you want input from people, well, first off, look at things like this podcast. And, this is free. You can listen to this 4 days a week for free. And, I'll tell you what, people, if you don't like the podcast, I'll give you your money back. How about that? But there's just literally, we're in this golden age of information and experience, and you can get so much information from people in general, but you got to ask. You got to do something about it. Yeah, be the hunter, not the prey. Mm-hmm. And, so many of the things you talk about is you're waiting for we wait as a society for people to do this or do that or whatever. Like, take some action. Like, and it does frustrate me that the lack of activity on some part, because I'm a hustler, man. I get up and I do too many things. Mm-hmm. I should do less, but I kind of chase some certain things, and I jump down some rabbit holes now and then. And every now and then, if you get down, you're like, oh, this is really deep. I don't know if I want to go that far. Then crawl back out, and find something that's a good fit. But if there's something you're passionate about, I mean, it makes it real easy to get up and do it on the days that you don't want to do it. I mean, self-discipline is a basic description. It's about doing things that you don't want to do at the times that you least want to do them. Mm-hmm. So, and some of that is actually doing good. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you for letting me stand on my soapbox there. No, I know. But it's true though. I mean, it's whether that's, for learning technology or making a donation or anything. And, Keith, the world needs people like you, and it's a good thing. So many people, we've had quite a few people in here that do a lot of things and that are selfless, and it's okay that you're not a not-for-profit. Mm-hmm. That would actually probably complicate things a little more. Right. So, all right. So basically, and go to the ripple.net and check this out. I need some of you to go follow at Just Ripple It. That's Just Ripple IT. Mm-hmm. That's pretty easy. If you search Just Ripple, you come up first. You can also check us out and check them out in the followers on the @Startup Hustle podcast. Okay, so this is an online marketplace. Now, we've had an episode. If you're interested in online marketplaces, you need to go check out the episode we have called Online Marketplace, where I sat down with Ben Edwards from Swappa, which is an online marketplace for used electronics, and they do like $90 million a year. They're pretty legit. Yeah. But one of the things that is difficult in the beginning with any marketplace is what I refer to as the empty marketplace effect. Mm-hmm. So how did you overcome that? Because you mentioned there are still some categories where the shelves seem empty. The problem is when a marketplace is empty, it's kind of like a bar on a Friday night. People walk in and it's empty, and then they walk back out. But the problem is until some people are in there, that's going to keep happening. So how have you gotten past that? Yeah, and that's been the biggest barrier, is just getting this thing social proof, getting people comfortable enough for them to realize this thing's not going away. So actually, this is the first month that I've started putting some money into some marketing approaches. Just been doing the social media, guerrilla marketing for the last few months, and we're gonna ramp it up. So doing some commercials, going to be doing some, obviously with the podcast today on the Startup Hustle, done one other podcast, but for now, what we're wanting to do is to just get engagement from the community, because I don't want to drive a ton of people to an empty store. I'm going to need some people to start getting in the game, making their ripple and starting to realize that this is a deal where together we can thrive. If people can promote their small business, get rid of their stuff that they don't need, create a healthier, cleaner home by getting rid of things and keeping them out of the dump, it will start putting more content on the site. But that's something that we're still trying to overcome. We have by no means cleared that hurdle. It's a real issue. We have not cleared it. And I shared this story and so years ago, part of the I owned a ticket business, but with that we owned a bunch of sites that acted as a marketplace for buyers and sellers of event tickets. And you have to drive traffic to those. And so we used to post ads on things like Craigslist and other places. And, you post a few more than a couple ads there, they start ghosting you. Mm-hmm. So meaning like your ad, it seems as if you placed it, but it never shows up. So with that, I got frustrated with that. So I said, I'm going to build my own classified site. So I built a couple of them, and they were very similar, and they were efficient and clever software platforms. But then I quickly realized, I was like, oh shit, there's no one posting anything in here. So we would actually push some traffic to it, because we could populate it with our own ads, but that would be one section of the site, and it was tough. And we never got those things off the ground because we didn't overcome that empty marketplace thing. So, some of the things, if you have a marketplace, whether it's donation technology or anything else, you might just have to give it away for free for a while, like no fees or something like that. Just try to get some adoption out of it. Anything you can do to push sellers in there, because like I said, people don't shop at stores with empty shelves.
Right.
And that's a tough thing, and that's a real thing.
So as we're driving through our neighborhoods and we're seeing all these garage sales, or maybe you're getting ready to do a garage sale while the weather holds up, those sorts of things, you can actually post your garage sale on a post on the ripple.net.
Interesting.
I put a video feature on there. So if you're willing to maybe donate 2 things out of the garage sale, you can shoot a video and say, hey, this weight bench and this kid's bed are going for donations to this cause. But all this other stuff I've got in my garage, I'm selling. You can get that in a 15, 30-second video. You can put that on my site and do a free commercial for your garage sale. Then, if you get left with some other things, hey, I got an idea on how you can purge it. Put the rest of the stuff on the Ripple and get rid of it. You're not doing a garage sale to save money. You're doing a garage sale so that you can park in your garage or get rid of some of your crap. So this is a great way to do it. Same thing with the churches when they do their garage sales, or any time that anybody's getting rid of, God forbid you lose a loved one and suddenly you've got an influx of hundreds of things that are worth something, but you just need to get rid of them. What better way to honor a loved one in their passing by saying, hey, this money's going to go to cancer research, or to, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, however they passed away, maybe you bless that charity that helps out families in that situation. I don't think it's too bad of an idea.
Sure. You guys got to get out there and do something. Remember, just do it. All right. So we've been wrapping up episodes with what we have just now lovingly renamed the Founders Freestyle. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that over to you, and you get the mic. You get to pass on any knowledge, advice, understanding, anything that you would like entrepreneurs, founders, or anyone to know from what you've learned. And the whole point of this is to try to help others avoid the pitfalls.
Yeah.
There you go.
So the main thing that I want everybody to remember about the ripple.net is that this was designed with the donors' empowerment in mind. This is not designed specifically to put more money in the nonprofit's pocket. This is to empower you on a way to promote your business, to help you thrive, so in turn you can go out and help out other people. This is just a tool to add to your belt. It's not designed to cannibalize anything else. If you like doing 5K runs or golf tournaments or galas, keep doing them. Those are awesome things. But now we've got a new way to improve other people's lives. Something to take away from this is, if you're not in the habit of giving, I want you to go out and try it. I promise 9 times out of 10, you will get more out of giving than the person you actually gave something to. Giving does have a massive return on it. It may not be monetary, but I promise it's something that you can't put a price on.
So I'm going to give you all a tip about making a donation, because sometimes people have this tendency to say, I don't have time. And this goes for anything. So this and my freestyle here is around and I mentioned my book, Balance Me. You can go check that out. By the way, that's like, I think it's $1.99 on Kindle. It's like, or 99 cents. It's cheap because I want you to read it, because it's got some good stuff in there. But I have this method I call substitution, and it's pretty simple. It's, you got to look at the low value activities in your life. Low value activities are things that do not move you towards your goals. And your goals can be personal, professional, or physical. But these are things like watching TV, just playing video games, different stuff like that. You can make an immediate and rapid change in your own life if you take small bits. If you recognize, oh wow, I'm engaged in low value activity right now, and substitute that low value activity each day for 15, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour. Now do the math on that. An hour a day, that's 365 hours. Like how different, that would be 9 40-hour work weeks. Mm-hmm. Think about what you can accomplish over the course of a year. So some of these things, through using the power of substitution, you can chip away at some really, I mean, you could get like a pilot's license like 4 times, a bunch of different stuff like that. And the same thing comes, next time you're doing something low value, even couple it up. Like you can change a low value activity into a high value activity. You're sitting there binge watching Netflix. Mm-hmm. Get out your phone, list a couple things for sale on the ripple.net. Do something. It's okay. You'll be all right. You'll live, people. You'll live through the traumatic experience of putting your phone down, or maybe just using it to do something else, doing something besides visiting the @Startup Hustle podcast on the Instagram. But well, Keith, thanks again for coming in and telling us more about the ripple.net. For those of you listening, you can also check us out on the Startup Hustle YouTube channel. You can let us know whether or not we do, in fact, have faces made for radio. See you next time.